Hey, this is for Beth's inbox. Um, so there's just a lot of energy in the world, and that's the purpose of this little insert, I guess. It's difficult to try to, rationale is to try to, bring attention to more of this or whatever. Time is the thing that can create more momentum in terms of, just your understanding, your feeling, your interest in taking action and things like that. And so this is like a roundabout way to connect with your attention, I guess you could say, because the value is not that it's not big enough, but there's just a lot of other things on your attention, and hopeful that you get a sense of greater value through the things that I guess that I'm referring to would make it so it's hopeful that the attention transfers into the value aspect, if possible. For instance, if I was going to give you, $4,000 per time of listening or getting on a call, for example, it's something similar to that, in essence, if you see the guys at the end of YouTube videos that are oh, this is $20,000 worth of value for $1 or something like that. Whereas in this instance, it's more about, it's actually terrible to bring those people up because that's maybe not the actual value in dollar values. So the actual thing to say is actual money, $4,000 or whatever, because that's how it's supposed to translate, is spending time so that it translates into money, in essence. And the more momentum, the more money. Money is a representation of momentum and energy as a whole. So it's that's what it's a representative of. If the game is about momentum, which equals money, in essence, frequency equals money, then the more time you're putting into the game, any other sport, then the more that you get better at it, so to speak. Most people are not playing the sport. That's the thing to realize to begin with. And most things that you're doing with other people, spending time with your attention, it's not practicing for the sport. And most people don't really know how to practice for the sport. They don't know about it as a whole because they don't look at money as energy. They don't look at money as frequency. So if you start there, you have the ability to acknowledge that it is a sport, and the more you play it, therefore the more value your time is, in essence, because of that simple fact that if you're trying to garner energy in the right way and developing momentum in the right topic, for example, if you make just string bean carrot soup or something like that, you're not practicing for the game of tennis. It's just you can make string bean carrot soup and get really good at it all the time. And that's an analogy for doing things that are not related to the game, doing everything that's not related to the game. And most people are distracting other people from playing the game itself. If you go out and do this, that, or whatever, go shopping, go do everything else, it's like the split pea soup or whatever, string bean soup. And so the game is entirely different energy. It's focusing on the energy to begin with. It's acknowledging the energy to begin with, and hopefully something that's positive. Semi-positive about this chat or recording it, I guess you could say, is that most people, I suppose, don't look at money as energy. Therefore, they don't acknowledge the game as a whole. It's really in terms of interactions, in terms of communication, in terms of time spent with people, in terms of what value you're building in life, based on interactions, based on focused interactions with people that have different value behind them, based on developing a brand that has a brand cause, a brand purpose, and therefore sort of an energy behind it, a frequency behind it, a velocity behind it. It's just all interesting, but necessary to decode into these energies based on how actions decode into energies and translate from the difference between tennis playing and string bean soup making. And most people are making so that's hopefully a good aspect to conceptualize, because if you conceptualize the thought that for the most part in a grander sense, most people are doing the string bean soup and they're all distracted and distracting each other, so therefore there's more white space or open space to be able to focus on the game of tennis, if you will, because no one else is playing it. So therefore it's just a high value thing for that reason, and it causes the value for your, ability to sort of look at things this way to go up in that dollar value sense. In the first example, it's paying, $4,000 per meeting or whatever. It's an example, but it could be, more or less than that. And obviously, as time goes on and more momentum and velocity builds, it could be a lot. It could conceptually be more than that. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe less to begin with or whatever. But if frequency grows, momentum grows, a portfolio grows, more interactions with more valuable people grows, networking, etc., if you will, that have, the right tools and momentum attached and such things, then like the back end of that is higher frequency, higher momentum, and the value on people who make a lot of money's time divided by 365 days of the year, divided by every hour of the day that I guess they're awake or otherwise, is a lot. Like, and it's not even, and that's every hour of the day of the year. So it's not just for one phone call at that juncture, but it's like when you get like high momentum sort of going. But in essence, this just conceptually was just like I was sitting around and I was just kicking around and I was like, just like, damn, like if there, was someone such as Beth to speak to or whatever, who's just got like the wherewithal to just at least acknowledge the type of things that we have been being spoken about or whatever, it'd be, worthwhile if there was just like, an attempt to at least draw more so upon or create, I guess you could say, the value in a more apparent way, transparent, that like creates, something related to like dollars, which makes it more valuable and attractive to speak about things, so that it also diverts from other things that are preventing from speaking about things that are more valuable. Like, it's both ways. Like, if like, in other words, like it going the other direction not only doesn't yield the money from thinking about those things or practicing the game, but it also, it's both. It's like it's preventative of having the growth going the other direction, and then it's also not getting the money. So it's both, because like just getting 4,000, for example, like for a meeting, for example, like would speak to the concept of the potential, or excuse me, the conceptual thing that like the purpose is to continue to grow the process, like meaning it's trying to be momentous, meaning it's trying to like expand, it's trying to grow, so it's trying to hopefully go beyond 4,000 per meeting, like meaning like the essence of the hopeful growth is that it's hoping to be more than 4,000 in the next meeting. Maybe it's $4,001 in the next meeting. Doesn't matter if it's 4,050 in the next meeting. It's just like about forward momentum and the actual growth, which speaks to the potential to continuously grow that frequency and continue to open that, direction of focus, if you will. So anyway, sorry for being lofty, but this was just like an attempt at, with myself, like trying to transfer the value somehow through thinking out loud and just trying to sort of transfer the thoughts into the, into a way that just sort of considers or conceptualize like the value for, interacting or speaking or prioritizing doing so based on money, like just based on the simple like thing that is a big draw factor or like a caring factor, a factor to care for, I guess you could say, for most people in a typical sense, based on that money thing. So like in essence or whatever, and like just sort of in the also sort of thought that like thinking back that you sort of mentioned that you have like a lot of time, that you have a lot of time or whatever, you said it at one time, and you just are, try and you're hashing it when you're hashing it out with me. And so with that in mind, like it's not always easy to prioritize the thing that's like the most, hopefully growth, promoting activity, for sure, like exercise, climbing at 2,000 stairs, for example. So these conversations might be in line with that, for sure. So like, sorry about that in the meantime, but this is like an attempt to try to like shift the vibe a little bit, or the focus or whatever, to attempt to like add value to it on the front end, so that hopefully there's an interest to, want, in essence, like want to do it, like want to have these types of just like not ambiguous, but just like convos that can kind of go anywhere, because like energy kind of goes anywhere, and that's just kind of how the nature of the thing is, like finance thing and like all this stuff. It's just very much energy based, it's momentum based, and that travels everywhere in the world, into like all cells, all statistics, and every aspect of life, in essence, like any flowing and moving type of energy that can be measured. So that's a lot of potential conversations that it can go into. So like with that in mind, the intent is to just try to, again, like facilitate focusing on like bringing value like to the front end mindset, which hopefully can relate to wanting, or like relate to like wanting to jump on calls, have more combos in the sense that, like, you know, if there's an alignment with an actual dollar retail, like somehow value on the front end, that it is just an ideal way to conceptualize, like, the interest to spend more time doing it in that respect, just to create a direct reference and a direct positive reinforcement, hopefully response and reflection, sort of, I suppose you could say sooner than later, you know, in a if possible. I suppose you could say. So anyways, I'll leave it there for now. It's gotten lofty and long, so sorry about that. Hope your day is good as well. And yeah, just hope that, you know, maybe this can potentially or somehow or something lead to, yeah, some more of that interest in this sort of direction. All right, cheers. Thanks again. Have a nice afternoon. Cheers. Thanks again. Peace.